Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Gold IRA Blueprint podcast. We're always talking about helping you secure your retirement with gold.
Right.
But today,
Yeah.
we're diving into something a little bit different.
Okay.
We're going to be talking about cybersecurity for your gold IRA.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like, you spend all this time building a fortress for your gold, but what if you forget to lock the front gate?
Yeah, that's a great analogy. I mean, you spend so much time researching the best gold to buy,
Right.
but what good is it if all of your digital information is, completely out in the open?
Totally. And, a lot of people don't realize that managing a gold IRA these days means you're online, right? You're on these platforms, you're dealing with custodians, you're doing transactions, and it's all happening digitally,
Right.
which is, you know, convenient.
Right.
But it also opens up, points of attack for cyber criminals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about it this way. You wouldn't leave your front door unlocked, right? Well, every time you go online and check your account balance or you make a transaction,
Right.
that's, essentially a digital door that you're opening.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. So
Okay.
what can we do? How do we make sure that those doors are locked and secure?
Well, one of the first lines of defense is what's called multi-factor authentication, or MFA.
Okay.
And basically, that's just like adding another lock to your door.
Okay.
It's not just your password anymore. It's something else that you need to verify that it's really you.
Right. Like that code that they send to your phone when you
Yeah.
log into your bank account or something like that.
Exactly. And, it seems like a small step, but it can really make a big difference.
Right.
Because even if somehow, someone gets a hold of your password, if you have that second factor in place, it's just, that much harder for them to get in.
That's great. That makes me feel better already. And, while we're talking about keeping things safe, what about like where we store all this information? I mean, is there like a digital safe deposit box for our gold IRA?
That's a great question. And the answer is yes, there is. When we talk about protecting your gold IRA online,
Right.
we have to talk about secure storage, right?
Yeah.
This is especially important for things like private keys. If you're actively trading assets within your IRA.
Okay.
Think about it this way. You wouldn't keep your physical gold, under your mattress, right?
Yeah.
You'd want to keep it in a secure vault.
Of course.
Same goes for your digital information.
So where do you find these digital vaults? Like, are we getting super technical here?
Not necessarily, no. I mean, there are things like hardware wallets, which are becoming increasingly popular.
Okay.
And those are like little USB drives that are specifically designed to store your private keys offline, which makes them much harder for hackers to access.
Yeah. So it's like a mini safe for your keys.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay. So this all seems really, really crucial. Is there anything else we should be thinking about when it comes to cybersecurity and our gold IRA?
Well, one area that I think people often overlook is estate planning.
Okay.
You've worked hard to build up this nest egg. You want to make sure that, if something happens to you, that your loved ones can actually access it.
Right. So it's not just like passwords on a sticky note, right?
Definitely not. It's about having a real digital asset management plan.
Okay.
That means outlining, all of your gold IRA related accounts, your login details, maybe even, instructions for how to manage those assets. Have you ever thought about like what would happen to your online accounts if you were suddenly unable to manage them?
Honestly, not really. I mean, it's not something you really want to think about,
Yeah, right.
but it does make sense to have a plan.
Right.
So what about like choosing the right custodian for our gold IRA? Does that play into cybersecurity at all?
Absolutely. I mean, your custodian is essentially the gatekeeper of your gold. So their
Yeah.
security practices are really paramount. You want to look for a custodian that uses, military grade encryption, undergoes regular third-party security audits, and ideally offers insurance in case of a breach.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, you wouldn't just hand your gold over to anybody, right?
Yeah.
You'd want to make sure they had, all the top-notch security measures in place.
Right.
And speaking of which, if you're looking for a guide to help you choose the right custodian, head over to goldirablueprint.com/exclusive for a free checklist that'll walk you through all the key factors.
That checklist is a fantastic resource. I mean, it really highlights the importance of security when you're choosing a custodian.
Yeah.
You don't want to trust just anyone with your with your golden nest egg, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, okay, we've talked about multi-factor authentication, we've talked about secure storage, we've talked about estate planning, we've talked about choosing a secure custodian.
Hmm.
What about like the legal side of things? I mean, are there specific laws about cybersecurity in gold IRAs?
It's kind of a bit of a gray area at the moment.
Yeah.
The IRS has strict rules about how gold IRAs are held, but
Hmm.
the guidelines on digital security are still, they're still developing.
Okay.
So, it's really important to stay informed and make sure you're following, the latest regulations as they come out.
So we need to stay informed.
Got it.
So it sounds like cybersecurity for our gold IRA is an ongoing process.
Yeah.
It's not like a one-time thing, right?
Yeah.
We need to be proactive and we need to stay vigilant.
Absolutely. Just like you wouldn't leave your front door unlocked, you don't want to leave your digital gold unprotected.
Mm.
And as technology evolves, so will the threats. So it's really crucial to, just to stay informed and adapt as we go.
That's a really good point. And that's actually a perfect segue into our next topic. Coming up next, we're going to delve into, I think, kind of a fascinating and maybe a little bit unsettling aspect of cybersecurity.
Oh.
We're going to be talking about the role of artificial intelligence.
Oh, wow. This is where things get really interesting.
Yeah?
Stay tuned. So, welcome back to the Gold IRA Blueprint podcast. Before the break, we were talking about the evolving landscape of cybersecurity, and now we're stepping to the world of artificial intelligence.
Okay.
It's a game changer.
Yeah.
And like any powerful tool, it can be used for good
Right.
or for, well, not so good.
AI and cybersecurity for my gold IRA. This sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Oh no, right?
Where do we even begin with this?
Well, it's actually simpler than you might think.
Okay.
Imagine AI as this like super smart security guard for your gold IRA.
Okay.
It can analyze like mountains of data in the blink of an eye,
Right.
spotting suspicious patterns that would take humans, forever to find.
So it's like having a digital detective, like
Yes.
constantly on the lookout for any threats.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so, think about like those phishing emails that we talked about earlier.
Right.
AI can learn to recognize those subtle signs of a scam
Okay.
and flag them before they even hit your inbox.
Wow, that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
I know I've almost fallen for a few of those myself. So AI is like a spam filter on steroids.
That's a good way to put it, but it goes even deeper than that. I mean, AI can actually predict emerging threats
Whoa.
by analyzing trends and patterns in cyber attacks.
So it's not just reacting to attacks, it's
Yeah.
actually anticipating them.
Exactly.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and here's where it gets really cool.
Boy.
AI can personalize your security based on your behavior.
Okay.
So, like if you tend to trade online frequently, the system can automatically, ramp up security during those times.
So it's like having a security system that adapts to my habits. That's really reassuring. But you mentioned earlier that, AI can be used for good or bad.
Right.
Does that mean like hackers can use AI too?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. As AI gets smarter, the bad guys are also figuring out ways to use it for their own purposes.
Right.
They could create like super sophisticated phishing scams,
Mhm.
malware that's harder to detect, or even automated attacks that exploit vulnerabilities in gold IRA platforms.
So it's like a constant arms race with both sides using AI to try and like outsmart each other.
That's a great way to think about it. And this is why, we can't just rely on technology alone.
Right.
We also need to, stay informed about these evolving threats and develop strategies to mitigate them.
Okay, so what can we do to like stay ahead of the curve?
Well, first and foremost, I would say choose a custodian who's actively incorporating AI into their security practices.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to ask them tough questions. Like, what kind of AI systems do you have in place? How are you mitigating AI-powered threats?
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, we're trusting them with our retirement savings.
Exactly.
We deserve to know that they're using the best tools available to protect it.
Absolutely. And, it's not just about the custodian. It's, we as investors need to stay informed about these issues as well. There are a lot of great resources out there to help you, understand AI and its impact on cybersecurity.
Any recommendations for like where to start?
Well, for starters, keep listening to podcasts like this.
Right.
We're committed to bringing you the latest information and insights on all things gold IRA, including cybersecurity.
Yeah. We love to talk about gold. And speaking of resources, don't forget about our free checklist at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive.
Right.
It's packed with practical tips to help you choose the right gold IRA company, with security being, a top consideration.
That checklist is a great starting point.
Yeah.
For anyone looking to invest in a gold IRA, it covers all the essentials, from choosing the right custodian to setting up your account securely.
It's a must-have for anyone serious about protecting their golden nest egg.
Absolutely.
So we've talked about the good and the bad of AI and cybersecurity. It's clearly a very powerful tool, but like any tool, it depends on who's wielding it.
Right.
So what's the bottom line for gold IRA investors?
I think the key takeaway here is that awareness is key.
Okay.
By understanding the potential benefits and risks of AI, you can make more informed decisions about protecting your investments.
Right.
Don't be afraid to ask questions, do your research, and stay informed.
Knowledge is power, especially in the world of cybersecurity. And on that note, I think it's time to shift gears a little bit and talk about something a bit more tangible, like the practical steps that you can take to boost your gold IRA security.
Yeah, let's dive into those actionable tips.
Right. Welcome back to the Gold IRA Blueprint podcast. We've been talking about cybersecurity for your gold IRA, and now let's get practical. What can you actually do, like right now,
Right.
to protect your golden nest egg online?
It really comes down to building good cybersecurity habits.
Okay.
And thankfully, a lot of it is just common sense. It's
Yeah.
like locking your car door.
Right.
You wouldn't leave it wide open.
Right.
And you shouldn't leave your digital life unsecured either.
So what's the digital equivalent of locking that car door?
Right.
Like what's the first thing we should do?
Well, let's start with passwords. We
Right.
touched on them earlier, but it's worth emphasizing.
Yeah.
Using strong, unique passwords for
Right.
all your online accounts,
Right.
especially the ones connected to your gold IRA, is absolutely essential. It's like, think of it as the first line of defense against any unwanted intrusions.
Yeah, I know it's so tempting to just use the same password for everything.
Right.
But I guess that's like having the same key for your house, your car, and your safe deposit box.
Exactly.
Not very secure.
Yeah, if one of those gets compromised, everything is vulnerable.
Right.
Consider using a password manager.
Okay.
It's like a digital keychain
Okay.
that stores all your passwords securely
Right.
and even helps you generate strong ones.
Oh, that's a great tip. Okay. Now we've all heard about those sneaky phishing emails.
Yeah.
How can we avoid, falling for those traps, especially when they could look so convincing?
Well, be wary of any unsolicited emails.
Okay.
Especially ones that are asking for personal information or login details.
Right.
It's best to contact your custodian directly
Right.
through their official website or phone number if you have any doubts.
Okay.
And remember, legitimate institutions will never ask for your passwords via email.
Right. So if something feels off, trust your gut. Verify it.
Exactly.
Okay. What about those software updates that are always like popping up?
Right?
Are those really that important for cybersecurity?
Absolutely. Think of them as security patches for your digital devices.
Well,
They often contain fixes for known vulnerabilities that hackers could exploit.
right.
So don't ignore those update notifications. They're crucial for keeping your system secure.
It's like getting a booster shot for your computer.
Exactly.
You want to stay protected against the latest threats. What about social media? Is there anything we need to be cautious about there?
Well, it's great to connect with friends and family online,
Right.
but just be mindful of what you share.
Okay.
Avoid posting sensitive information like your home address or your phone number or financial details. You don't want to hand a roadmap to your life to potential scammers.
That's a good point. Sometimes we forget how much information we're putting out there.
Right.
So we've covered passwords, we've covered emails, updates, and social media. What else can we do to enhance our gold IRA's security?
Well, we mentioned earlier the importance of choosing a custodian with robust cybersecurity practices,
Right.
but don't stop there.
Okay.
Be proactive and ask them specific questions about their security measures.
Like what kind of questions should we be asking?
Don't hesitate to inquire about things like their incident response plan.
Okay.
What happens if a breach does occur?
Right.
How do they train their employees on cybersecurity best practices?
Okay.
What measures do they have in place to prevent phishing attacks and other threats?
It's like interviewing them for the job of protecting our gold. We
Exactly.
want to make sure that they have the experience and the expertise to do it right.
Exactly. And remember, a reputable custodian will be transparent and happy to answer your questions.
Right.
They understand that security is a top concern for their clients.
And speaking of transparency, we've talked a lot about the IRS regulations around gold IRAs.
Right.
But what about state laws? Do those come into play with cybersecurity at all?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
While federal guidelines are still catching up,
Right.
many states are enacting legislation that specifically addresses digital asset protection.
Okay.
And these laws often apply to gold IRAs, requiring custodians to implement certain cybersecurity measures like multi-factor authentication and encryption.
So it's essential to stay informed about the laws in your specific state. How can we keep up with these evolving regulations?
Well, a good place to start is the website of your state's regulatory agency,
Okay.
like the Department of Financial Institutions or the Attorney General's office.
Okay.
You can also consult with a qualified financial advisor or estate planner who specializes in gold IRAs. They can help you navigate the complexities of these laws.
So it sounds like cybersecurity for gold IRAs is a multifaceted issue.
Yeah.
We have to be aware of federal regulations, state laws, and best practices for protecting ourselves online. But the good news is that there are resources available to guide us through this process.
Exactly. And remember, you're not alone in this journey.
Right.
We're here to help you navigate the world of gold IRAs and ensure that your retirement savings are secure both physically and digitally.
And that's why we created our free checklist.
Right.
It's a comprehensive guide that walks you through the key steps of choosing the right gold IRA company
Right.
with a strong emphasis on security.
Exactly.
Head over to goldirablueprint.com/exclusive to download your copy today.
It's a valuable resource for anyone looking to invest in a gold IRA. It distills all the important information into an easy to understand format,
Yeah.
making it simple for you to make informed decisions about protecting your golden nest egg.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into cybersecurity for gold IRAs.
Right.
We hope you found it informative, empowering, and maybe even a little bit eye-opening.
Remember, knowledge is power.
Right.
And when it comes to cybersecurity, the more you know, the better equipped you'll be to protect your investments and your future.
Just like you carefully researched the best gold to buy, take the time to understand and implement the right cybersecurity measures.
Absolutely.
It's about safeguarding your hard-earned wealth and ensuring peace of mind as you journey towards a secure retirement.
And as we wrap up, here's a final thought to ponder. We focused on protecting your gold from digital threats, but what about the other way around? Could the principles of decentralization and security that underpin gold IRAs be part of the solution to securing our increasingly digital world? It's something to think about as we navigate this evolving landscape.
That's a great question.
Wow.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, stay safe, stay secure, and keep those golden nest eggs shining.